All right, perfect. What's up, everybody? My name's Indy. That gentleman over there, that's Mr. J. Powell. And welcome to Indie Game Business. We've been gone for a couple weeks, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Couple
We've
weeks.
been gone, and I can't breathe, so, I have no idea what I sound like this morning.
This is like not enough coffee for me. I woke up super grumpy.
I always wake up super grumpy. That has no bearing on how much coffee I had the night before. So you were at Game Daily Connect and then PAX.
Mm-hmm.
So how was it?
Well, people are like, business cards are outdated. No. Yeah, look, this is how outdated they are. See all that stuff?
I've got a stack of them, and I was at a summit, so yeah. That's
It was pretty good. I mean, Game Daily Connect was pretty awesome. There was a lot of like business to business stuff, but there was a bunch of amazing games. There were some really, really, really good ones. There was mobile games, there was PC games, there was console games, VR games, and that was pretty cool. Then I went to PAX, and there was a lot of publisher booths there. There's a lot of like smaller publishers that I've watched grow. Like the Tiny Build booth was massively huge. I've never seen a Tiny Build booth that big, and they had these massive displays. They had one game, Graveyard Keeper, and they had all of these coffins lined up, and then people could lay in them and get their picture taken or whatever. And then they had this for Secret Neighbor, I think it is. They had a massive, just like 20-foot tall poster. I mean, you could see it all the way across the hall. It was pretty crazy. I got something from there too. I got one of the Hello Neighbor plushies. So that was my excitement.
I played Graveyard Keeper when it first came out, but I think they've added a whole bunch to it since then.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, so it was good.
So were there enough publishers at PAX to make it worthwhile as a conference if you're looking for B2B stuff?
I mean, there was at least, 20 publishers there. The indie game part there was a lot of it was huge. It was, I mean, hey, what's up, Scooter Squirrel? It was huge. It was bigger than when I'd been there the last time. The floor was massive. Yeah. And PlayStation had this massive area. That was crazy. But yeah, there was a lot of indie games. I mean, there was like the whole 6th floor was indie games. And then there was another floor that was pretty much indie games. And then even the main hall had like the indie mega booth and all that stuff. So it was pretty crazy.
So, well, that's good. It's a matter of, once again, we've got so many conferences now that it's crazy to try to figure out which ones you need to go to and which ones you don't.
Right. I mean, it's good as a consumer for sure. There was a lot of booths that sold stuff, swag.
Yeah, I still think PAX is far more of a consumer show than a business to business show. But It's good that there were that many publishers there.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
So, I mean, anything stand out as like awesome at either one of them?
I mean, I'm just this huge fan of Legend or Children of Morta. It's out right now. It's awesome. I've been like get up in the morning and I'm like, I'm grumpy. So I play a little bit of Legend of Morta. And then when I take a lunch break, I play a little bit more. And then like when I'm done for the evening, I play a little bit more. Pretty fun.
I'm trying to figure out. I don't know if I know that one or not.
There was one game. It was a VR game and it was called, oh God, I have the card right here. Where's that card? Anyways, it was this VR game. It was they'd only been working on it for 2 months, and they got invited to come to PAX, and their booth was paid for and everything by PAX. Deadcore.
Very nice.
I think it was Deadcore. And so you pretty much, there's like these bushes, and you're standing in this world, and you have to sneak past these monsters. So you use the teleport thing to sneak past the monsters, but it makes noise like Russell, 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 and then they'll look up and see you. And it was, man, 2 months of work. This was a really, really, really good game. I think it's gonna do. It's really good VR game. You know, there's a lot of good VR stuff, but I mean, just for 2 months working on this and what they had it was just crazy.
It's amazing how quickly somebody can put together a good demo, or at least a first shot at gameplay with the tools that we have now. I mean, it's just it's crazy. It's good, but you know, it also leads to that whole thing of publishers are getting pitched like 150 different games a week. So you were on the West Coast. I went down to Peru last week. They had a conference, a summit for Latin American companies of all sorts and how they can export their services better. And so I was invited along with Pierre, who's one of the folks behind MIGS and a couple of the conferences up in Canada. And then they had 2 local developers as well. And we did a panel on, you know, opportunities in the game space. And we know there's a lot of opportunities, but it was very cool to me to see how many companies were out there that we don't typically hear about. I mean, I met developers from Barbados, from Trinidad, from Peru. I want to say one of them was from Chile. But I mean, it was a whole lot of really good teams. And the conference wasn't even really game based. We just had that one that one show, or that one panel. But it was awesome. I got to actually, you know, for a rare occasion, get out and see some of Peru while I was down there.
Did you go look at ruins?
I did go look at ruins.
That's cool.
And it wasn't, I wanted to go to Machu Picchu, but that was like a 4-day trip to get there.
Oh man.
So that didn't happen. But they have a big site just south of the city where they've been excavating for years and years. And you can still see, it's a massive area, and you can still see part of their big Temple of the Sun that was out there. And so you could go out, and we got a personalized tour guide who took us around and showed us everything. And the beauty of it was that she just got in the car and we drove from one site to the next. We didn't have to like do a ton of walking.
Oh yeah.
But it's a gorgeous country. I mean, and some really cool stuff. But yeah, we went out to the ruins at Pachamacha, and then I discovered ceviche, which is like my new favorite food. It's basically fish, but it's cooked in lemon and spices and all kinds of other stuff, and it's just amazingly good.
Ooh, I like food.
That and pisco sours, which I had never even heard of pisco, but it's a liquor made from grapes, which made me excited because the only other thing you make from grapes is wine, and I don't like wine. So, and then I get back here and I look up the recipe on how to do it, and it's like egg white and, you know, all of this
stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. I mean, I could make it, but that's a lot of work to go through for a drink. So anyway, it was still fantastic though. But it was really good to sit in and you know, they had headphones you could put on. So there was a guy like live translating everything that was said on stage. So I got to sit through several of the other, you know, talks as well and learn a whole lot about what's going on in Latin America on the export services side, and how things like our trade beef with China is affecting pretty much all of Latin America. It's one of those things you don't generally think of.
Wow.
But it is. Because it's like, I think it was the folks from Peru that were talking and said their 2 biggest export partners are the United States and China. And so with those two, you know, bickering back and forth, it affects, you know, what they're doing. So there was that. But so I wanted to put my case out for not pitching your game at conferences, which is kind of opposite to what I normally say.
So you're playing devil's advocate? Is that the deal right now? Or?
No, I'm dead serious about this.
Okay.
I thought through it. So a friend of mine was out at PAX and had a rough first day at the show. Laptop, crapped out on him, and meetings missed, and just one of those days where it's like, can everything go wrong? And it did. And so I was talking to him, the night after, the night of the first day of PAX. Sorry, I'm still like stuffed up with, cold here. But I said, do this. Go to the show tomorrow and don't take your laptop. Just don't take it. If you want to show something on a video or something like that on an iPad, that's fine, but don't take your laptop. I said, you have to realize at most shows, a publisher or a marketing company has seen dozens, if not like over 100 games in the course of 2 or 3 days. It's like every half hour they're going to a meeting where somebody's pitching them a game.
Yeah.
You add to the fact that GD Connect was a couple of days before PAX, and then Gamescom was the week before that. I said, you've got people who have at least been to GD Connect and are now at PAX. And I said, and I guarantee you there is somebody who's been at all 3 of them. And you can sit down and do your, normal meeting with them and tell them about your studio and demo your game, but they're not going to remember it. It's going to get lost in that haze of every other game that they've seen over the past, week or two. I said, you're better off to go into that meeting and sit down and just have a real life personal conversation, person to person, with that other, with that publisher or that media company or whoever you're meeting with. And then after the show, follow up with them and say, either here's our demo, or schedule a call like a Google Hangout or a Skype or whatever you can do where you can share your screen and show them the game at that point. Because when you're sitting, I've been on the publisher side of this, when you're sitting there in that show, your mind isn't all there in that meeting anyway. You probably got there late because you got lost or you didn't have time to get there, or the other person got there late for the same reason. You are sitting there wondering, did you leave something at the hotel that you need?
I'm fucking hungry. I hope I don't have to stand in line.
Yeah, exactly. All of this shit. And then you've got to leave like 5-10 minutes before the next meeting because you got to get all the way to the other end of the hall, to do it all over again. Your mind isn't completely focused at that point. And you're better off having, sitting down and just talking to that other person, get to know them as a person, get to know their company on a more personal level without having to rush through and jam a demo into that time as well. And then when you call them later in the week and you either have that demo or you do a screen share or whatever, at that point, you have that person's most undivided attention for, 20 or 30 minutes. Because they're not at a show. There aren't people walking by, patting them on the back and saying, hey, and interrupting everything. Conferences are stressful. They're chaos. And I'm not saying never, ever pitch your game at a conference, but
read the room.
Smart about it. Yeah.
Because don't you think that maybe that might, like some people are there and they just want to talk business all the time. Don't you think like somebody they would set a meeting and then it's like they just want to talk? That some people would be annoyed at that?
Well, you're still talking in business,
right?
But you're just not taking up that face-to-face time with that person by demoing a game that, if something crashes in the middle of it, or you're just taking that piece of chaos out of the equation. And so I was wondering the same thing. I was like, okay, is this actually going to work? Not that I was using him as my guinea pig or anything, but I felt strong that I've been there, I know how it is. I'm telling you, this worked. He came back and said it was the best day of a show he'd ever had. And at least 2 of his meetings, when he said he wasn't going to demo his game, expressed relief that he wasn't going to do it.
That's funny.
So, I mean, but you just get absolutely overwhelmed. I mean, when you're being pitched this many games, you can't remember, which ones are which and who had what and what the USPs of this one was versus the budget of that one. There's a lot of shit to like keep in your head.
Hey, and Cargo, what's up? Cargo Cult Game from Facebook says hi.
Oh, hiya. It just makes sense to me. It's going to make you stand out a little more. And you're not going to like lose any points for this.
Right.
You might actually gain some. But, that was always, back in the day when we had put stuff in boxes and we would come home with just literal suitcases full of games. And, back then I was like, if only there was a way to do this so I don't have to haul all this crap around. And now there is. There's no reason you can't have just as good of a meeting in a video call with a screen share that you can have, at a show.
But it's nice to already like personalize that other person.
Yeah, exactly. They know who you are. They remember you because you talked about
whatever,
the best tacos in Seattle or whatever, it could have been. And you weren't sitting there going, this is my post-apocalyptic Metroidvania platformer for, whatever.
That's what, and here's what's funny that goes along those lines too is, so I sent emails out after, I waited until this week, right? I waited a whole week. And so I sent emails out Monday, and then of course not everybody responded, but I noticed the people that responded were the ones that I just sat there and bullshitted with for 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We did talk business stuff, but we talked about this and that and motorcycles and just a bunch of other stuff. Those are the people like, oh yeah, hey, I totally remember you, dude. That was an awesome conversation or whatever. And
you're gonna have
those are the people that like responded right now. Yeah. Those are the people that responded like right now. Yeah, you sound. You know what? It's all that Peruvian coke. That's why your nose is stuffed up.
It's interesting because some of the guys from our Discord took me out for sushi one night. We were there, and while I was there, this is a first for me. 20 years of traveling, I was offered hookers, weed, and blow, all from the same guy. He was like a one-stop shop right there on the sidewalk outside the sushi place.
And he's in our Discord?
No. The guys I went to dinner with are in our Discord.
Oh, okay. So it's just some guy that was outside. He's like, hey.
Yeah, basically.
I can get you high, blown, and
I'll give him credit. He was a good salesman, and he wasn't overly pushy and just to the point. But I was like, you know what? I have actually never been offered all three from one person at a conference before. But first time for everything.
Well, it is Peru, so.
It was an awesome place. I loved it. And the flight wasn't that bad.
How many hours was it? 8 hours?
Well, it was 2 hours from North Carolina up to Newark, and then an 8-hour flight from Newark down to Lima.
Mm.
So, and actually all told, it was about, from the time I walked out of my hotel room to the time I walked in my house on Sunday, it was about 14 hours.
Is it a bigger plane for such a long flight?
No. But it wasn't full either. On the way down, I didn't have anyone sitting next to me on either flight.
I like that.
On the way down there, nobody. It was fine. On the way back, I believe we had the only empty seat, which was between me and the woman on the aisle. But it wasn't packed either way. But no, it was a standard, 3 on one side, 3 on the other side airplane. It wasn't one of those like 2-3-2s or 3-3-3s. So yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
My flight was to Anaheim, and then, but it was from here up to Seattle and then back down to Anaheim, and then on the way back it was from Anaheim to Seattle, then back to where I live, and then I was going to ride my Harley up. But my flight from here to Seattle was 45, or from Anaheim to Seattle was 45 minutes late. So that means I couldn't catch my connecting flight, and I would have got home at like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And then I was just going to leave at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I ended up just staying in Seattle an extra night. I got to the convention an extra day, but it ended up costing me a ridiculous amount because I had to pay for another flight that was if I would have missed my flight, they would have paid for the next one. But it cost me more money to get another flight to go from Seattle to come down to here that was like 4 days later. So I had to pay for that, which I should have let my wife get it through Expedia because it would have been half the price, but I got it right there. And then it was like almost $300 for a hotel room.
See, and that's why
that sucked.
I mean, to put it in perspective, I mean the Peruvian sol is 3.3 to 1 to the dollar. So a dollar gets you, 3 1/3 sols. But I stayed an extra night in Peru, but I told them I was going to, and the rate that they had worked out for the hotel was only like $167 a night.
Jeez.
Which is expensive in Peru, because one of the guys told me, he's like, you're staying at like the nicest hotel in Lima. And I was like, nice. And it was nice. It was a great place. But I told him, I was like, I know $167 sounds like a lot. I said, but to put it in perspective, I can't get a room in the little college town that I live in for $160 a night.
Yeah, at a Motel 6.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Exactly. But so, Pierre and I were talking, and he does a lot of travel for these shows as well. He uses it was actually Renzo. It was the CEO from Arctic Games in Peru. He uses booking.com, swears it is like hands down the best way to book hotels and flights. But he also books a year in advance. So he's already got his GDC room for next year, and he's only paying like $120 a night.
Oh, geez.
And that's just and that's at a good hotel. It's not like, he's not staying way out. I mean, he's right there in that area. But, by the time GDC comes around, people start booking, flights and hotel and everything. It's going to be $300, $400, $500 a night.
Yeah.
Which is just absolutely crazy. So, which, all of this wraps back around to, this is the reason you should come to our event, because you want to travel. And you have that person's undivided attention. So I was curious as to what Scooter Squirrel thought about my theory. She says, I agree. I would also want to be prepared to pull out your laptop if they're super keen and they ask, but plan only videos and screenshots for the meeting. I'm not crazy most of the time. I can be crazy on occasion, especially when I'm medicated like I am right now. But
for that, you want to have like your very, very, very best stuff. When I was going to animation school, right, they were like, how should you do your demo reel? Which basically that's what it is. It's like recruiters are looking at like you said, 50 demos a day. Yeah. Right. The company's hiring for an animator. They're like, they get a flood of things. So you don't want to just put in your this is okay. It looks neat. You want to have the very best bam from the very beginning. You don't want to have 30 seconds of like a character walking across the screen. You want to just like bam. You want to wow people. You want people to remember it and be like, oh crap, this looks awesome. And then have like the very second best thing at the very end so that they have something to remember it by. Right? You don't want to just have a trailer that's a lot of talking and you want to have all of the exciting stuff just in 30 seconds. The very best content you can possibly. Otherwise, it's going to get lost and you won't get remembered and nobody will care. It'll be super sad.
And I know people like to say that my game is going to stand out and they're going to remember it. And God bless you. I hope they do. But for 99% of the games out there, it's just not the reality of it. You know, there's so many games coming out, and there's so many similar genres, and you know, it seems to be that Metroidvanias are the thing right now. You got to do more than, you know, just have a catchy name or, you know, unique art to stand out for all these folks. I mean, and if you don't, you best just wait a little bit. Make sure you have that person's undivided attention and then do it, because I guarantee you'll get a lot of those responses that, you know, our friend got that said, hey, yeah, I appreciate you not showing me a demo during the show today. So what else is going on, dude?
12 Days of Indie.
Yes, there is. I got a note about that the other day. When are you doing it?
November like 6th through the something. It's 12 days. So I don't remember the exact date. It's in November. The reason it's in November is so that all the money can go to Toys for Tots. Because whenever we've done it, like we would used to do it from December 1st to the 12th. But we would have to like give them half the money so they could use it, and then give them half the money later. Well, actually, we didn't like give them the money. The money goes directly to them. So, that way they could use it all, because otherwise, if it's after a certain date, they have to save it for next year. So we're doing it. Plus, there's a bunch of other charity events that are happening. It is kind of right in the middle. Well, there's the Extra Life Day or whatever. That's at the beginning of November, but this is after that. 12 days long. It's going to be fun. Yeah. Oh, and TwitchCon's coming up. Yeah.
December tends to be absolute charity chaos.
Right.
So did you see the news on Apple Arcade yesterday?
No.
$4.99 a month. They've got over 100 games already, and some of them are exclusives
for iOS.
For iOS. So here, you know, finally, here's the case for doing a premium game on iOS. Now, how much you make from it is going to be part of the catch,
right?
Because if everybody's just paying $4.99, it's probably going to be fairly slim. But if you're doing a PC game or a console game, we got a client right now that's doing a PC console game, but they're doing it in Unity, and it actually plays really, really, really good on mobile. So, I mean, something like that, especially where people are less likely to publish premium games because they don't usually monetize. And on Android, they get pirated up one side and down the other, but that's neither here nor there. To be able to have something that gives you a real reason to do premium game or to port your premium games over to iOS, I think it's a good thing.
It's so crazy how technology now can handle, like, you know, a full PC game can, a freaking Android tablet can handle it for the most part. You know what I mean? Just looking at the, well, here, I'll post it in the chat. Looking at the Apple Arcade coming September 19th. Look at the video of those games. I mean, those look like freaking PC games.
The catch is going to be how old of an iPad will it actually work on? I don't know if it'll work on mine. I still have like an iPad 2. I don't know if it's updated.
I have an iPad Mini 4.
But $4.99 a month isn't bad at all.
No.
I mean, that's basically, if you buy one game a month off of, you know, the Apple Store, you know, it's going to be worth it.
Right. That actually reminds me, I talked with somebody from, it's called Hatch.
Yeah.
Playhatch.com.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're doing the similar things on Android.
Android, yeah. And then they have 100 plus premium games in one app. But they're streaming. You don't download them.
Yes, that's the difference. They have a streaming service, which means you do need to be somewhere where you've got a good connection to the internet.
Right.
But you know. But
so
again,
no playing on a game on a train on a plane.
Well, you also have to keep in mind they're backed by Rovio.
Mm-hmm. I know that's why they have that exclusive Angry Birds game.
Yep.
Angry Birds Go Turbo Edition and Arkanoid Rising.
What?
Arkanoid Rising. That's
one
other
Arkanoid back in the day. That would be very cool. So anyway, yes. If anybody's got any questions, about conferences, biz dev, marketing, licensing, any of that kind of stuff, just send them in. We're live on like 5 different platforms, so you can easily get your message across or get your message to one of us. So next on my list is...
Wait, we had a question. Engine X 3D on Twitch says, is Apple Arcade good for developers or not?
Like many things, I'm going to say it depends. If you are counting on Apple Arcade to solely recoup your development costs, it's not going to do that. If you are already creating a game in Unity and Unreal that can be ported over to iOS, yes, because it is extra revenue and it is extra exposure, but you're not going to see enough revenue from Apple Arcade alone to justify building the game, unless Apple really loves it and they give you a gigantic advance up front. Totally different game there. But in general, it's good. It just depends on how good is going to depend on the specific situation you're in.
Right. All right. What did that answer, Engine X 3D? What game are you working on right now? We like to look at games.
We all want to know.
Yeah, share your game link. Go for it.
So while he's doing that, next up for me is Poland. I am lecturing at GIC in Poland in mid to late October. I got to find out when it actually is. But that's going to be fun. I've never been to Poland either. I'm doing this end of the year. I'm doing all conferences I've never ever been to.
Nano Games proof of concept. All right, let's watch it here. I think I can pull it up.
Oh, we have a new client too while you're pulling that up. So for all these years that people have been asking me, Jay, can you help us find investors? And I'm like, no, we don't do that. Now we do that. We partnered with Syndex, and they have a ridiculously good, basically like a search engine for investors. So you can go in and say, I want to find all the investors in the U.S. that have invested in video game companies in the last 12 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And it spits out, if you have the upper tier service, it even gives you their contact information, so you can email them straight from that.
What is it called?
Syndex, CYNDX. And if you want to use it, either send me an email and I will introduce you to the folks over there, or if you use the code Powell Group, all caps, when you check out, you get a discount. But it's a very, 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 very cool system.
I like this game. It's cute.
That's some fantastic art.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Deep.
So yeah, I mean, you're already developing for PC and console. You're in Unity, and I'm assuming this is meant to be a premium game, not free to play. But it makes absolute sense for you to port it over and at least show it to the folks at Apple and see if they bite. I really like that art style.
Yeah. PC first, and you're using Unity. Nice.
Yeah, sorry for all the people on the podcast that can't see what we're looking at right now. It looks really, really cool though. So yeah, Apple Arcade is out there. What else has happened in the last 2 weeks? I'm just looking through my news to see, what we talked about. I have no idea. My brain is absolutely shot. I know what was interesting. So Jeff Vogel, who has been doing games as long as I've been doing games, from Spiderweb Software, had 2 posts, and one of them is why all my games look like crap.
Oh, I see that.
And the follow-up is why I'm the cheapest bastard in indie games. And he basically talks about how the graphics of his games are never like outstanding. They're never 3D quality and high end, but that's not the point of his games. He makes really deep RPGs, with fantastic storylines and a lot of depth and character development in them. And he says, I haven't changed my art in 15 years, and it makes sense. I think we do have a tendency to all get wrapped around how pretty something is before we get around to going, okay, is this fun? And I saw this back and forth earlier on Twitter from Indie Gamer Chick, and the question is, what should we be valuing more, the amount of time that you play the game or the quality of the game that you play during that time? Because apparently there's some games that have been coming out and they're only like 5-10 hours long, which is still a long damn game. But people are saying, it was like, well, it wasn't, I didn't play it for very long, so I shouldn't have paid however much money I paid for it. When the reality is, how much enjoyment did you get out of it for that $20 or $30? Because typically the games that are short like that are typically going to be $20, $30. They're not going to be $60 games. But
right.
Her point, and I agree with it. If you want the benchmark is Portal and Portal 2. It doesn't take long to go through those games. I mean, you can sit down over a weekend and finish both of them. But they are so well done, and the narrative in it is so good. There's so many pieces of that game that come together very, very well that, yeah, I think I ended up actually buying it twice, because I had it once on my Xbox and once on on PC, because it's that good of a game. So, when you play these games, Indy, when you're looking at something, what do you look at more? How long you can play it? Is replayability, or like how good it is?
I look at how good it is. Like I just played I always forget Plague Tale, which is not a long game, but man, that was just like one of the best games I played in a long. And it was short. Yeah, that was totally my game of the year. I like the quality. Like Legend of Morta is great. The quality of it's amazing. It's super fun.
All right, spell that, because I cannot be able to find it.
Children of Morta. Morta.
Ah, that's the reason. Because you don't know the name of the game.
Children of Morta.
What a slew of awards.
Yeah, because it's freaking awesome is why. It's super fun. I mean, it's like it's a roguelike, right? Like you have to unlock the characters and you have to beat the levels, but it's kind of grindy because you have to replay them. But each time you replay it, the levels are totally different. So it's not really the same level. And then there's like story beats in between. So if you play it a little bit and then die, and then it goes and there's like a little bit of story. And then you play it again and then you die, and then there's a little bit more story. And the story keeps advancing. I don't know how it advances, if it advances over time or how many times you play or what, but or if different things trigger different story parts or whatever, but it's pretty freaking awesome. There's other news. Cool. What do you think about the news of Telltale?
Oh, I'm not surprised at all. Somebody basically just bought the IP.
They just bought everything.
Which is probably absolute dirt cheap at this point in time. But I mean, we see this over and over and over again. It's like Atari right now, like the third iteration of Atari. For somebody to come in and buy the name and the remaining content behind Telltale, it doesn't surprise me one bit. I mean, it's a good move because despite everything that happened there, in the end, the name does have a lot of value to consumers. Did they say how much they bought it for?
I didn't eat that.
Let's see. I don't think it says. Assets were purchased by a company called LCG Entertainment.
I'm sure you could use that program. And what is it called? Syndix? Find out.
Well, it looks like LCG is actually run by Jamie Audley, who I've known for a while in the industry, and Brian Waddle. They're going to start out with
The Walking Dead.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to start ramping up staff. It's just the old employees will be offered freelance positions, and once they get their feet back under them, they'll do full blown jobs again. But it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's good. It's that way these things don't completely go dead. Because there's somebody that's at least taking care of and going to get them out. And, if starting small with a very small team and working and moving up is a good way to do it. It takes fewer people to publish a game than it does to develop the game. And if you have people that have done it for years and years and years, all of that gets a lot easier in the end anyway. Now, the catch is, in 2 years, are we looking back and going, oh my God, I cannot believe that company bought Telltale and did what they did to the name of that game, to the name of that company. But we don't know that yet. It's one of those that time will tell, but I'm
time will tell. Get it?
Yeah. See that? Cold medicine, man, kicking in right there.
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell about Telltale. I hope it lets them get back to the more creative stuff that they did early on, because that was one of the complaints about the last year or so of the original Telltale was they were churning out games so fast that they weren't really pushing that innovation that made them successful in the first place. It was just like, okay, we have another IP, let's slap it onto something and get it out the door. Oh, wait, we have a question here. If pitching at industry conferences didn't go well or the responses take a very long time, what should I do in the meantime? Max, I'm going to slaughter your name, Maxter Ducks. You should be finding other people to pitch it to, because there are no shortage of publishers, especially, unless you're at GDC or Gamescom, you're probably missing out on at least one continent, if not two continents worth of publishers. So, one, when you're following up, don't be spammy and annoying. I would say no more than one email a week following up with the people. And keep in mind, it does take a while sometimes to unload out of all of these things. If you haven't heard from somebody in a week, even maybe a week and a half from the end of the conference, don't get too discouraged. There's a lot of going on that people have to get done. But yeah, in the meantime, you should absolutely be looking to, find more publishers to pitch it to. And that way you don't get caught in the trap of, and I see a lot of developers do this. They come back from a show and they're like, oh my God, we had a wonderful show. Everybody loved our game. We're going to get a deal like next week. And 3 weeks go by and they haven't even heard from anybody. Publishers are always going to tell you that they love your game and they want to see more when you're at a conference. That's just the reality of the industry. But for something to actually come of that, it's, we always say no one knows how good a show went until 2 weeks after the show, because that's when you know who was really interested and who wasn't. But, use our publisher list. And if you don't have our publisher list, I can fix that. Consulting. So it's www.powellgroupconsulting.com/publisher-list. So if you go there, you can put in your email address, and then we'll email you this massive sheet of all of these publishers that we track. It says it's over 500, but I think it's actually over 700 publishers. I haven't done a full tally lately. And then in a couple of days, you'll actually get a invite to the webinars that we do, and I will go ahead and put it in here because you won't get it in time. We're doing another webinar tomorrow. So if you want to learn how to use that list, that's where you need to be. There we go. There's the link you can go to sign up. It's an hour long, and it's not one of those where I sit down and talk about me for 15 minutes and, my company for 15 minutes, and then give you 15 minutes of fairly common knowledge and then sell you something for the next 15 minutes. We actually go through everything from getting that sheet to actually, negotiating contracts and what you need to do to pitch and all that kind of stuff. And we do it in an hour. So it's very fast paced, and I throw a lot of information at you, but that's the point, is for you to, get what you need to be able to use that list. But yeah, that's a very long answer to a short question. But, while you're waiting to hear from somebody, make sure that you're going out and talking to the rest of your available options at the same time, because otherwise you blow 2 or 3 weeks waiting on somebody to get back to you. When they do get back to you, they're like, it's not really what we want right now. And then you got to start from scratch with everybody else. So be doing all of this stuff at the same time as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
You there, Andy?
Yeah, I'm here.
It's like radio silence. So yeah, there's that going on. We got a webinar tomorrow. You can always get our publisher list. You can always find us on Discord, discord.gg/indiegamebusiness.
Indie Game Business. If you just Google Indie Game Business, everything shows up, right? I'm going to do it.
I don't know. I don't ever Google it.
Business. Well, let's Google it. Yeah, Indie Game Business. Bam, the Powell Group Consulting. Maybe I should use, what's it called? DuckDuckGo? Right? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Is that the one that doesn't do tracking or whatever?
Yeah. DuckDuckGo. Indie Game Business. Business of Indie Games Virtual Summit, your Indie Game Studio business plan and how to get one, Indie Game Business YouTube, Indie Game Business Facebook, setting up your Indie Game, so we are on that front page there.
Because the Business of Indie Games, they run a conference once or twice a year for where there's lectures that you buy a ticket and you can watch a whole bunch of lectures from very smart people, and in the next week or two, actually, you know what? I have it right now. We actually have a discount code for that show. I just got it today.
Nice.
So bear with me. It is, and I'll,
you got to put all this stuff in the FAQ.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we're put it in the FAQ, and then it's outdated in 3 or 4 weeks anyway when they already have their show or something like that. So,
if you put it in the FAQ, then I can put it in the descriptions of stuff. Indie Game Business 2019.
Yeah. So, Business of Indie Games is coming up the 24th and 28th of September. If you use the code Indie Game Business 2019, you get a discount. I don't know how much of a discount you get. Like I said, this is all happening this week. So just I'm back from the trip, and we have a whole lot of partnership stuff to nail down for the show in November, and plus the work that we normally do over here and follow-ups from shows. And yeah, it's just a little bit of chaos over here at the moment. Anything else we want to go through today?
No, I think I am good.
Any other questions out there in Twitch, Twitter, YouTube land, are we actually live on Mixer, or is it still like processing our feed or our key or whatever? I read about that thing where you had to go. Yeah, it's not watching us right now. But yeah, I read about that thing where make sure you have to like basically go and reevaluate your stream, but I forgot to do it. So today's show's not going to be on Mixer.
Dang it! Mixerless.
We'll live. It'll be fine. I'm trying to think of any good questions that came from folks at the summit. I mean, one of the main things that they, wanted to know is what can they do to grow the market in Latin America. And so what was interesting was, if you are one of the 15 people that follow me on Twitter, they were live streaming the entire summit, which is something that you don't see a lot of shows do, but they were live streaming the entire summit. So when we got up there to do our talk, I shared it across social media. I'm like, hey, look, I'm in Peru and you can hear me talk right now. But I told him, I was like, that's one of the main things that you can do is build Discords for build a Discord server for all the local developers in a region, support one another, realize that this is not a competition-based industry. It's a collaborative-based industry. You don't see indie teams going, oh my God, somebody else is releasing another match 3 game this week, because somebody else is releasing another match 3 game this week. But you can learn a lot and get a lot out of working together with the other studios in your area. And I've seen this firsthand with several regions up in Canada, where if an opportunity comes in for one of the companies, but they can't fully do it on their own, they actually turn around to one of the local companies and say, hey, you want to help? And so anything that these regions can do, be it Latin America or Eastern Europe or Middle East, North Africa, wherever it is, the more you can build that community around your developers, the better off it is for everybody.
Because, the more the better.
Yep, exactly.
There's a lot of good groups on Facebook.
I know, but I'm never on Facebook anymore. And plus, that one group that has 14 different pages and a set of specific rules for each page you post in, it's way too much confusion and work for me to try to figure out which page I'm supposed to be on.
Right.
I like Discord. We can now stream from Discord, but only to 10 people, oddly enough. But, we've got a wonderful group on there. I think we're actually closing in on like 500 people.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. For that Discord server that I told you we didn't need, and it was stupid, and nobody was going to join it. Yeah, I guess I was wrong. But yeah, that's it. I mean, my brain's shot. Sorry, dude.
No, it's all good. I got lots of work. I'm still trying to catch up from the conference and still going through stuff. That wait, it's always a wait after a conference. God, yeah. All of this. Then you got to catch up, and then you got to get ahead, and then, yep. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll be back Friday. Yeah. So
Friday, we've got a guest.
Yeah. Who do we got Friday?
I know. Bear with me.
I know who it is, just not right this second.
No, it's actually Glenn from OSD, Operation Supply Drop. They do a ton of awesome, good stuff for, both troops overseas and, folks that have come home and helping them get, into the workspace. And they do it. I'm on their board of advisors, and they do a wonderful job, and I love working with them. And so Glenn is actually going to be here on Friday.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you Friday. Couple days. Bye.
Take care, everybody.